I just liked the way it sounded initially. It was just a phrase that I was just walking and thinking in my head, like I often do, and it was just a phrase that came up that I liked the sound of it, and then I looked into it to see what it meant, if it meant anything at all. And it's a phenomenon. It's this particulate matter that gets carried across the Pacific Ocean from Asia, just like dust that comes all the way across the ocean and lands in California. It's pretty trippy, man. Well, we had sort of set out when we went in there, even to record the demos, we knew we were going to make a record. I mean, that's just kind of, that's just what we do, So it wasn't like we were just messing around in the studio and then we're like, oh, hey, we should make a record. There's always a lot of pressure that you put on yourself to put out as many records as you can, and usually it's only once every couple years, it seems like these days. But I've always looked at the older bands like the Beatles and stuff. They would put out records all the time, and I always wanted to do that, but it just doesn't seem to happen. It's so difficult. It takes so long to make a record and to come up with all the material. So we knew we were going to make the record when we started messing around in the studio, and we didn't really have a vision. We just played a bunch of stuff and just looked at it and then chose the best ones. It's sort of like a collage of lines. It sort of doesn't necessarily. I don't really know what it means necessarily. The concept of White Falcon Fuzz is just a guitar that I saw in a picture of Neil Young. He liked to play that kind of guitar. Stephen Stills liked to play it. It has to do with just the way that guitar sounded and what it sort of represented for me when I was learning how to play guitar.
There was a lot of favorite parts. Just the actual performing the songs and tracking the songs, which were mainly tracked live, and then of course working with David Simon Baker, who's the engineer, and he recorded the album, and he was just a pleasure to work with.
There's a lot of really good jokes, and
that's true.
Keeps it fun. Some of them are really rude, and tasteless, but
it helps to kind of keep when you're in the studio for hours at a time. This kind of jokes help.
Well, in the summertime, yeah, it's a seasonal thing. So we did a bunch of them this summer, and we have some lined up for next summer. And festivals are really great because you get to play outdoors typically, and you meet a bunch of other bands and lots of people that haven't seen your band just accidentally see you. Everyone's there, so that's really cool. A lot like the solos and stuff like that. Many of them are there's parts that are always established and that happen the same every time. But then there's a lot of room for improvisation in our live shows because, like Greg was just saying, we used to do it a lot more when we were younger, and then we kind of steered away from it for various reasons. And in the last couple of years, we've been doing it a lot more. The songs from Pacific Dust from the record are relatively new. So they haven't exploded in different directions the way that the older songs have. They will, but we're just that happens eventually over time. I think I like Cheer Up Champ the most because we've played it the least probably, and it's just sort of, I like singing it. It's challenging, and it's long, so you can kind of sink into it. There's a lot of words to remember. And that's what I like, and then I like to listen to Greg play his guitar.
Yeah, that's one that I like to play, and for similar reasons. Not because we haven't been playing it. I look forward to when we do. It's I think the reason we haven't been playing it is a lot of the shows we play require high energy, and that song has, although at the end it kind of gets pretty intense. It's got an even kind of mellow pace at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And at some of the places, unfortunately, we play, it's, what's your phone number? And people are chatting, you're trying to sing this really pretty song, so it gets a little frustrating. But there are places where, more and more that we've been playing where we can do songs like that. All in Favor is kind of falling into that that category as well. The rock songs, White Falcon Fuzz is really fun to play, for sure. There's a little bit of a theme running through, and it turns out the songs that we brought to the table have the theme kind of talking about music, rock songs about rock in a way. Cheer Up Champ talks about riding home from a bad show, and All in Favor, of course, has a bunch of little snippets of being on the road and how we've chosen to do that. Third Floor Story's got its own thing. White Falcon Fuzz with the electric guitar reference. So I would say, I don't know. That's what I would say.
That's a long.
That was a lot.